Yes guys, welcome guys. This is Data Point and you are watching Olkak TV by Matafari. Guys, I want to talk about the visit of Edwin Watenya Sifuna and his entourage to Homa County and the narrative they wanted to achieve out of the visit to Homa County, because the idea was not to go and talk or have a political rally in the Homa County. If the idea was to have a political rally in Homa County, then Edwin Watenya Sifuna could have just done what he has done in other regions. Like the day he went to Machakos, Ethokwe Stadium. He alighted he used a chopper and used the shiny things. The road he walked on, the airstrip he landed on, and even in the stadium where he held his meeting. All these are shiny things done by Ruto. And because he received a lot of backlash that Sifuna is not supporting the development agenda, Ruto's development agenda, but he is using the shiny things made by Ruto, it portrayed Sifuna in bad light. So to come out and fight that narrative, Sifuna, using his think tank, who is Babu Owino, crafted a formula that was to see change in narration on main media. And which change of narration? They wanted to change the narrative of the shiny things. They wanted to change the narrative, the doctrine that Ruto is developing Kenya. Specifically, they chose Homa Bay. So Babu drafted a formula that they are going to use different feeder roads which are too much dusty, so that by the time they arrive in Homa Bay, the whole world will have seen the dusty roads that are in Nyanza. That was the idea. Now, this idea had three implications. It had an impact to the current government, and that could be a negative impact. But at the same length, it had an impact on the three previous governments, which even painted the sponsors from a negative perspective. The narrative painted Uhuru Kenyatta in his 10-year term, that even after having a handshake with Raila Odinga, was not able to develop Nyanza. That is the idea. So it paints Uhuru Kenyatta in a bad light. And the other narrative that was to be achieved was that Nyanza people are violent and they are not welcoming. They also wanted to portray the leaders of Nyanza, including Honorable Wanga and Kaluma, that they are very violent, that they orchestrate violence, that they plan, facilitate, and fund and orchestrate the violence which we witnessed in Nyanza. And that is very, very bad and unlikely. So guys, this is what we are discussing now. Therefore, when Babu Owino drafted a formula that we will have a triumph entry to Homa Bay, but we are going to use the dusty feeder roads. My question to anybody who is sensible is, number one, which roads in Kenya are having feeder roads that are tarmac? There are no feeder roads that are tarmac anywhere, whether in the mountain, whether even in America, whether even in any country. All feeder roads, most of them in rural areas, are untarmacked. That is a fact, and they take it to the bank. Feeder roads, the roads joining the highways, are always dusty. The roads joining the highway are always dusty. That one is a point and should be taken to the bank. Number two, so when you conveniently decide not to use the highway in the name that the highway were being blocked, then he could have used chopper. When he went to Machakos, Sifuna used a chopper. And Sifuna on his disposal, he's having 6 choppers. on his disposal because Sifuna is being funded by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has a fleet of choppers, not just a chopper, but the choppers. Therefore, Sifuna could have used one of the chopper to go and land directly in the stadium in Homa Bay and then have his entourage into the CBD. And while in CBD, he could address his rally there. But the idea was not to address the rally. The idea was to move meandering around, displaying the undeveloped areas. So when you display undeveloped areas, you are creating a narrative that Ruto is not developing the country. But the question is, has Ruto been the president for 60 years? So if the area is not developed, and Ruto has been in power for 4 years, then what has Uhuru done in 10 years? What has Kibaki done in 10 years? What did Moi do in 24 years? And finally, what did Kenyatta do in 15 years? So bringing all these four presidents together, comprising of 60 years, and displaying Nyanza as dusty and developed with no electricity, with no clean water, with barricaded potholes, and the place is stingy. People were calling it Yemen of Kenya. So displaying Homa Bay as Yemen of Kenya or Haiti by those goons throwing stones. Are you, number one, are you patriotic to your country? Number two, what are you saying concerning Uhuru Kenyatta who led 10 years? What are you saying concerning Mwai Kibaki who built 2,000 kilometers roads in the Mulima? So if you bring the doctrine that Ruto is not developing Kenya, then we are not only looking at Ruto, we are looking at the all presidents that have been in Kenya and have led Kenya for all this time. Let's go. Guys, just a minute. I will pick on and continue with the live. This is data point. You are listening to Matufari on Olkak TV. Share, like, and subscribe, guys.